Hi, you guys. Today I have with me problem 7.1 from Young and Freedman's University Physics textbook. It should be problem 7.1 in both the 14th and 15th edition. Okay, so you might be wondering why I'm doing a chapter 7 problem, and just because I feel like it, because I really like energy and I love doing those problems, so I thought, why not introduce that? Also, I noticed that a lot of my viewers might be doing like those types of problems at this point, and kinematics is usually like you usually cover that in your first couple of months. And so I thought maybe I should branch out to different topics. Okay, so we're doing energy. And one thing I wanted to bring up before we get started on the problem is please don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you find my videos helpful. Thank you. Okay, so in one day, a 75-kilogram mountain climber ascends from the 1,500-meter level on a vertical cliff to the top at 2,400 meters. The next day, she descends from the top to the base of the cliff, which is at an elevation of 1,350 meters. What is her change in gravitational potential energy on the first day and B on the second day? Okay, so with gravitational or with energy problems, there's usually like you don't really need to draw yourself a diagram, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it just because we always do. And maybe we can talk a little bit about the problem and set up the problem as we draw a diagram. But really, with most energy problems that I recall, and I haven't done these in a while, but as I recall, you don't really need to do like or make diagrams most of the time or draw diagrams most of the time. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw ourselves what this problem means. So a mountain climber ascends from the 1,500-meter level on a vertical cliff to the top at 2,400 meters, and then she descends to the base of the cliff, which is at an elevation of 1,350. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what it means to like even have an elevation. So I'm just going to start off with a diagram in our like top corner here. So let's say that this is the sea, right? You can have, if your ground is like this, that means you have an elevation of 0. So I'm just gonna, I know it's slightly crooked, but pretend that's like literally just a continuation of the sea. Oh, that's horrible. That's even worse. Okay, let's try that. Okay, pretend those are the exact same. Pretend that's one line. It's just half of it's grass and half of it's water. Okay, and the reason why I draw this is just to show you that at here, like at this point, you can say like the elevation is 0 because the elevation is at sea level. And then let's say you have like some sort of like hill or like cliff, and then it like goes into the water like that. Then you can say that the elevation is like um at 0. Okay. And then here you can say that this okay, at 0. And then here you can say like, I don't know, maybe this is like 200. Oh my God, you're kidding. Sorry, my like iPad's just like freaking out. Okay, there we go. Okay, so 100 here, we're just at like maybe 100 or like 200 or like 300 meters, let's say, right? So you're above sea level, but like, for example, you might just be like on the ground and you might just be like, oh yeah, like I'm on the ground. This is ground level for me, right? And you might define like if there's a building right over here and the building's, let's say like 50 meters tall, you might say like, oh, when I'm over here, I'm going to define my gravitational potential energy from this reference level. But you could also define it from sea level, and that's like sort of the beauty of gravitational potential energy. You can really just define it from any point. Any point can be your 0 point, right? So it's how you set it up. Okay, having said that, now let's move on to the actual problem. So here we can see that elevation sort of indicates that we're talking about sea level. But again, like that's not actually like too relevant to our problem. But let's just go ahead and draw a cliff and a mountain. So let's just pretend that this is our cliff. And there is a mountain climber, okay? And she wants to go all the way up. She wants to ascend. Okay, so she starts from here, or actually, no, I have a better idea. Let's say she starts from right over here, okay? And this is 1,500, this is a 1,500 meter elevation, okay? Then you go all the way to the top. And sorry, this point, let's say that this is H1. Let's call it H1. Then the next day, right, she gets all the way to the top, and that's going to be 2,400 meters. And then the next day, she goes all the way to the base of the cliff, which I'm assuming is like right over here, and that's H3, and that's 1,350 meters. Okay, so that's how it works. That's our H1, H2, H3, and we're really just defining this height according to the problem from sea level, and that's what our reference point is, the sea. But in other problems, you'll be able to see that you can really define it from anywhere. Like if, for example, there's a person and I'm just telling you this for your own enrichment, but let's say that there's like a ditch. Okay, so like let's say this is the ditch. This is, let's say, like, for sake of just this situation, this is at sea level. So over here, your elevation is actually like 0. So you can define gravitational potential energy to be like negative from here, from this point, but you can also do another thing, and you can just define it to be like, you can define this to be like your reference point. So you can make that your 0 if you want. Either way, like it really doesn't matter. You'll know like what to do depending on the question. And when you see different questions, you'll know what that means. So right now it sounds really hypothetical, but just hang on and it'll make more sense later. But just I'm priming you right now. Okay, so let's write down our knowns. In this problem, okay, so in this problem, we have our mass, and that's 75 kilograms. And then we have our H1, right? So ascends from 1,500 meters. And then we have our H2, which is at 2,400 meters. And then we have the base of our cliff, which is H3, and that's 1,350 meters. Okay, so what is her change in gravitational potential energy? A, on the first day, and B, on the second day. So let's talk a little bit about gravitational potential energy. So I talked a little bit about it before, and if you don't know too much, this is like a good place to start paying attention. Okay, so we write gravitational potential energy as this. So it's going to be, the symbol is U, and it's mgh. Now, it's mass times gravity times some height, right? And this height can be from any reference point, like I was saying, at the beginning of my video. It could be at sea level. It could be if you're, next to it, if you're actually at sea level and there's a ditch and you want to define gravitational potential energy, you can like literally decide to make, 0 anywhere. Like if you have a building, you could make 0 here, you can make 0 here, you can make 0 here. It really doesn't matter. But in these types of problems, if you don't choose your 0 sensibly, you're just going to create like a gross mess and your problem's just going to be harder to solve. But you really could just put it anywhere. Okay, so now having said that, I also want to draw something else to your attention. It's, how do I say this? It's sometimes like confusing to a lot of like students, but I want you to know that in this situation, whenever you have like gravitational potential energy, you want G, you're always going to set G as like positive. So G is going to be positive, and your height is like, you're going to do like plus and minus for your height, but your G is going to be plus 9.8. It's not going to be minus 9.8 like in kinematics. And the reason I'm not going to go into, just because it's a higher level physics derivation, that if you're actually like a physics major, then you're probably going to cover this in, again, like a higher level course. But if not, all you need to know is that it's just 9.8. Because actually, a little like brief synopsis is that U is actually like derived from like the from like gravitational force. And so we already accounted for the minus, so you don't need to worry about it when you're dealing with energy. So that's what I'm going to say about gravitational potential energy. Okay, so that's why these problems are actually kind of really fun, because um, you don't have to worry too much about like positives and negatives and directions. And that sounds vague, but you'll see what I mean in, I think, the next problem I'm going to upload. I have a really, really, really fun problem, and you'll see what I mean in that. But yeah, okay. So back to the actual problem. So we have mass, we have height, and we also know our g is going to be 9.8 meters per second squared, right? Not minus, just 9, positive. Okay. Okay, so now let's solve for A. So A, what is her change in gravitational potential energy? So change in gravitational potential energy on the first day. So on the first day, she ascends from 1,500 meters to 2,400 meters. So the change is going to be from her, like, it's going to be from U2 to U1, right? So we're going to do U2 minus U1, because the gravitational potential energy on the second day minus the gravitational potential energy on the first day. So that's what we're looking for, the change. And what is that exactly? That is going to be mgh2 minus mgh1. And let's gather our like terms. So mg, and then we have h2 minus h1. And we're going to plug in our values. So 75 times 9.8 times h2 minus h1. So 2,400 minus 1,500. And we get, I'm just going to plug this into my calculator just to double check my work and make sure that I'm not making any mistakes. And I'm getting 661,500 joules. And energy, the unit for energy is joules. So yeah, we have kg, m, and m, m over s squared. And this is equivalent to joules. Okay, so we have that for A. That's our answer. So I'm just going to go ahead and write it right over here. Now let's do part B. Part B, we're looking at the second day. So the second day, she goes from the top of the cliff to the base. So this is going to be like state 3 minus state 2. And so what I mean by that is mgh3 minus mgh2. And that is going to be, we're going to collect like terms. So we're going to have mgh3 minus h2. And we're going to plug in our values. So we get 75 times 9.8 times h3 minus h2, 1,350 minus 2,400. And now we're getting, I'm just plugging this into my calculator. we're getting minus 771,750 joules. And that's our answer for part B. All right, so there's the solution to this problem. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comments, or you can always email me as well. If you have any recommendations, any requests, I do take those as well. So yeah, just feel free to contact me. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time. Bye.